Coming up next on Locked On Devils, if my recording studio looks a little bit different, then yeah, this is my childhood bedroom. So I know yesterday I was cutting in and out and it didn't sound great. So we got Wi-Fi in here. Sorry for the lack of the scenic backdrop. But yeah, we have a game to recap too. So you know what? Cue the music.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Zach Berman. Welcome to Locked On Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. We have a hockey game to talk about, folks. Well, actually, let me back that up. Last night at The Rock, we had an MMA fight with a few goals in the back of the net. A hockey game broke out at what was effectively a reenactment of the church scene from Kingsman. It's a really dumb game. However, a really dumb game that the Devils, in fact, won over the Detroit Red Wings 4-3. It was a sloppy game, a game that you can argue the Devils did not deserve to win. The deserve to win-o-meter was not too kind to the New Jersey Devils. I believe Detroit was given a 74% to 26 or whatever advantage on the deserve to win-o-meter, but the deserve to win-o-meter does not, in fact, determine who wins or loses a hockey game. And I'll tell you something, Jacob Markstrom definitely deserved to win this game. How about that? Really the first time since the Los Angeles game where he's played well, and yet he still gave up 3 goals. Now, I would not say that any of them were on him. I thought they played really poorly defensively, and I thought Jacob Markstrom had to bail out the New Jersey Devils plenty. Now, with that being said, there's the elephant in the room, which I should probably discuss, and that is the chippiness. So much chippiness. Detroit had 23 penalty minutes. New Jersey had 17. And a whole bunch of it, actually, believe it or not, there was not a single penalty called during game action in the entire third period. However, thanks to a melee at the end of the third period, let's see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 penalties take place between the Devils and Red Wings at the end of the third period at 20 minutes flat of the third. So the game is over. These were all issued after the fact. And it really all started a minute 52 seconds into the game. JT Compher, a borderline dirty hit, well, it was dirty enough to be called boarding, on Nico Hischier, slams his head into the boards. And it really set the tone. And at the time, I was disappointed. I was like, wait a second. Your captain gets taken out and nobody's going to retaliate? What the heck? Like, that's been a problem of teams past. Not necessarily this year's, but teams past. Stand up for your guys. Now, the second the penalty ends, the Devils don't score in the power play. Stefan Nason immediately goes after JT Compher, fights him, and then gets the extra 2 minutes for roughing. Now, I could not care less about the extra 2 minutes. You have to retaliate in that situation. Nason did. And that really set the tone. And that's something I've been a big fan of with regards to the Sheldon Keefe Devils versus the Lindy Ruff Devils. Sheldon Keefe last year made such a big point of emphasis that the New Jersey Devils need to stand up for themselves, which they were not doing under Lindy Ruff. And standing up for yourselves does not mean, yeah, let's go acquire Curtis McDermott. Yeah, he will help bring the physicality. He'll help scare off the dirty hits. No. You see what Ottawa Senators fans are saying? They hate him. They hate Curtis McDermott. He just sits there and watches. Well, Yeah, that's exactly what he did here, because he's not a good hockey player, and he's not really a deterrent. The guys have to stand up for themselves, and they did. They certainly did. Ugh. For the second consecutive game, though, I think we'll just weave in the goals with the chippiness, because it's like peanut butter and jelly. You can't have one without the other. Actually, I do think you can. I'm not a jelly guy. Crunchy peanut butter, no jelly. Timo Meier, for the second consecutive game, scores the first goal of the game on a tip off a shot from Stefan Nason. Only his second point all year. Maybe this can finally get Nason going. But beautiful deflection by Timo Meier, beats Cam Talbot, 1-0 Devils. But only a few minutes after the fact, Alex DeBrincat, who, if those who know me know that I would have loved to have him in a Devils uniform, I was begging for Alex DeBrincat, cleans up the garbage, as Don LaGreca put it, after the shot by Patrick Kane, and ties the game at 1. Now, you rewatch the goal visualizer, which I'm doing right now. I don't think I can share that because the NHL is weird with their copyright stuff. It was just a really bad defensive play by Dougie Hamilton. Hamilton did not have a good game yesterday. I know a lot of people saw Siegenthaler, and they're like, oh, well, Siegs and Hamilton are back there. Siegs is just playing Patrick Kane, who is the puck. Siegs is sticking to his guy. Hamilton, on the other hand, he lost to DeBrincat. That contributes to the goal. Okay, 1-1. How did the Devils respond? Well, they respond less than a minute and a half afterwards. 3 even strength goals in 2 games for the captain, who evidently is fine. And this came from Bratt and Timo Meier. 7th of the year for Nico, 17th point for Bratt, 10th point for Timo. 2-1 Devils. The big news we got yesterday coming back into the game was that Cody Glass's return was sooner than expected. Week to week evidently just meant a week. But off the shot from Luke Hughes from the point, another deflection. 2 deflection goals in the first period for the New Jersey Devils. 3 even strength goals in the first period for the New Jersey Devils. Assisted by Luke Hughes and Connor Brown, and the Devils would go into the first period intermission, that is, up 3-1. Second period, right out of the gate, Dougie Hamilton takes a bad penalty. Just a rough game from Dougie. And that would ultimately lead to power play goal by the CBA product, James Van Riemsdyk, Monmouth County's own. His second of the year would make it 3-2. And I was joking about it earlier with a few friends in a group chat that Detroit just kind of seems like a roster entirely full of guys that you see and you go, wait a minute, he's still in the league? Well, one of those guys is Travis Hamonic, former New York Islander, former Ottawa Senator. Really lazy play behind the net. If I'm a Red Wings fan, I'm losing my mind over this. Dawson Mercer pokes it away from him, and the puck goes right to Connor Brown, who catches Talbot sleeping and just has a layup. Connor Brown's first goal since injury. Nice play by Dawson Mercer, and the Devils go into the second period intermission up 4-2. Third period, Dylan Larkin cuts the lead to 1. Devils can't clear the zone. Lucas Raymond makes a nice play to get a clean shot off. Larkin cleans up in front. So it's a 1-goal game. Now, in the midst of all of this is where the chippiness, which had, I don't want to say subsided, but kind of taken a back seat in this game, came back to the forefront. Ben Sherratt, who is known to be a little bit, loves to use the butt end of his stick as a spear. Do I go for a prop here? Hold on. This is not a spear. This is a toothbrush. But look, I'm working with a bit of a skeleton crew here, so bear with me. Scrum in front of the net. Larkin scores. This is all after the play. And Sherratt, who has done this before, Did it to, I believe, Corey Perry back in like 2017. Takes the butt end of his stick and just shoves it right in the gut of Simone Nemec. And I'm sitting here because I thought Nemec was seriously hurt. He went straight to the locker room. I think evidently he just got the wind knocked out of him. Lucky he's not hurt. And that just relit the match, so to speak. Because now you have a bit of a smoldering flame and the Devils are now ticked off. So what happens? An admittedly dirty open ice hit on Lucas Raymond from Jonas Siegenthaler. Siegenthaler and Raymond are nowhere near the puck, and it was just sent him to the ice. Thankfully, Raymond doesn't hurt either. Only one injury of note in this game was Evgeny Dadonov, who I didn't even see get hurt, but now he's doubtful for tomorrow's game against St. Louis, so it's like the old dude from The Simpsons going right through the revolving doors and then back out like you never saw him. Yeah. Evgeny Dadonov is doubtful for the Blues game, which means, yay, Juho Lamiko is back. Just what I wanted to see. More Juho Lamiko. Okay. At this point in time, the Red Wings have just taken the game over. The Devils are hanging on for dear life. They got outshot 13-5 in this third period. And that wasn't even their worst period of the game. Detroit outshot the Devils 15-6 in the second period. Detroit outshot the Devils 35-20 overall. The Devils really did not play well at 5v5 outside the first period. But as the Devils have been on the wrong side of so many times this year, getting goalied, they are on the right side of a goalie going above and beyond to steal a game, because Jacob Markstrom did just that, holds the fort down, gets a couple huge stops at the end, and the Devils walk out of the Prudential Center with 2 points and win an ugly game, a game that I don't even think the coaching staff treats like a win. You get outshot 35-20. I think every Devils fan was wondering when the tying goal was going to go in. It never did. But the fans can celebrate it like a win. And you can certainly celebrate it like a win when you look at the standings, because all of a sudden, New Jersey is right back in second place in the Metro and a point away from passing Carolina for first. And with that, New Jersey also jumps Tampa for second in the entire Eastern Conference. And Detroit, who, believe it or not, was in first in the Metro, or in the, how the heck is Detroit still in the Atlantic? I still always assume, mentally, Detroit is still in the Western Conference to me, man. Ugh. Detroit is now in second place in the Atlantic. The Atlantic is just so tight right now. It's kind of 7 points in the Atlantic separate first from last. And 6 points in the Metro separate first from last. The Toronto Maple Leafs are dead last in the Eastern Conference, and yet they are 9 points away from being first in the Eastern Conference. If you're wondering what the Western Conference looks like, because, gosh, the Eastern Conference is such a tight race, well, why don't you look no further than the Colorado Avalanche, who have lost one game in regulation in 22 games. They're 16-1-5. Of course, one of those 5 came in Newark, in the game where Brett Pesce ultimately got hurt. Jack Hughes won it in overtime. I miss both of those guys quite a bit. But there is such a large differential between the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference this year. There is no team in the East nearly as good as Colorado, and there is no team in the East nearly as bad as Nashville, who has 16 points. And Ryan O'Reilly somehow is not for sale. Barry Trotz, why do you have a job? Steve Yzerman, why do you have a job? Like, I feel bad for Wings fans because you see a franchise legend like Steve Yzerman not only turn what is undoubtedly one of the more historic franchises in the NHL, an original six team in the Red Wings, and he's turned them into the St. Louis Cardinals. They're just mediocrity. This guy should have been fired years ago, and the worst part is because he's a franchise legend, he has unlimited job security. It's a really, really crappy spot to be in for Red Wings fans. And please, God, do not promote Marty Brodeur to GM if Tom Fitzgerald winds up getting fired, which I also hope happens at some point. But at the same time, if Fitzy goes, that likely means the team isn't doing well. And I would prefer that not to be the case. So, yeah, I don't know why I don't know. The Yzer plan has not worked out. It's not worked out now. It's never going to work out. Come back to that if the Red Wings win the Cup this year. Knowing that I put it into the universe, you can start the parade in Detroit. You can start planning that right now. Right now. I went to Detroit on my way out to working in Minnesota this past summer. What an awesome city. It was my first time there. And I know that downtown Detroit has gone through just such a big revitalization. It's a genuinely sick place to visit. Would go back in a heartbeat. I went to a Tigers game. I'd go back in a heartbeat to see the Devils play at Little Caesars. But speaking of the Devils and the Red Wings, they do not see each other again until March. So all this bad blood, which has seemingly lasted for years, Devils Wings games are always just stupidly chippy for no reason. That can go on hold for a few months. And we will go on hold momentarily because I have an ad to read here on Locked On Devils. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back here on this Monday night, November 25th. This is Locked On Devils, and thank you for making Locked On Devils your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network in the world. Yeah, geez, I can't speak. This is crazy. Oh yeah, the Quinn Hughes rumors are starting to boil again. I know this is going to be such a point of contention until Quinn either winds up a Devil, signs in Vancouver long-term, or the sun explodes, whatever happens first. Even if he gets traded to another organization, if he doesn't extend with whoever he is traded to, that speculation of, maybe I think he could find his way to New Jersey. Like, that's going to stay for as long as this goes on. And it doesn't help that Vancouver's a tire fire right now. Oh, the Canucks are a mess. And I mean, not that they've been anything but the Canucks have just been all over the place. And our wonderful friend Jim Rutherford came with this quote today. Use whatever word people like, whether it's somewhat of a rebuild, not a full-blown rebuild, but a rebuild, retool, whatever. It's the position we've been in since the JT Miller trade. Oh, gosh. You're either in or you're out. You are either in or you're out. You can't do that half in, half out Dave Gettleman stuff. It does not work. Doesn't work in baseball, doesn't work in football, does not work in hockey. Here's the big one. I believe Quinn and his agent are aware of the direction we want to go, and they're aware of the direction they want to go. Everyone he wants to play on a winning team, but there's different reasons why people make decisions. And if you are Tom Fitzgerald, if you are Josh Harris, Jake Reynolds, you hear that and you're thinking about what the opportunity of bringing all three Hughes brothers to the Prudential Center could look like. I mean, your eyes are bulging with dollar signs, but at the same time, it's not even about the money. Quinn Hughes, and I've hesitated to really get into the Quinn Hughes thing because it's just such a hot button topic that I feel like everybody covers to some extent. Like, oh, go trade for Quinn, go sign Quinn. Like every Devils podcast, every Devils reporter, every Devils report, there is something about Quinn Hughes. And I'm here to say that I'm not going to be the trade for Quinn. That's not going to be me every show, even though deep down, well, yeah, I'd like to trade for the best defenseman in the NHL. Thank you very much. And yeah, I think having a guy with that level of puck possession skill could be the difference between winning the Eastern Conference and not being able to get out of a series against Carolina. Yeah, I would love Quinn Hughes. And I think deep down, ultimately, do I think it's going to happen at some point? Yes. All three brothers want to play together. And knowing that Luke's contract that he signed this past offseason, or really this season, now runs past where Jack's is, I would think that there's a very real chance that it happens in New Jersey. And if you're asking me right now, and I don't really have that much in terms of insider information in this regard, but do I think Quinn Hughes is going to be a New Jersey Devil one day? Yes, I do. That's not hopium. That's not me projecting. I actually think it's going to happen. My guess is that it would happen during free agency 2027. I don't think it happens right now unless there's a scenario where the Canucks just fall off a cliff. And if Quinn Hughes asks for a trade, what are the odds he just says, hey, I want to be a Devil. I want to play with my brothers. That's where you lose all your leverage. So right now, Dawson Mercer could be included. Please don't include Dawson Mercer. I know you have to give to get. So, like, if we're actually having these discussions in a few months, I think, a lot of guys are on the table. I would really prefer not to trade Simone Nemec, but at the same time, we're still learning what Simone Nemec is. We already know what Quinn Hughes is. So while I think anybody can be given up for Quinn Hughes at the right price, odds are if he's becoming a Devil via trade, Vancouver doesn't have that much leverage, which means the Devils arguably are not paying as much as, say, another team in a similar position. So I probably just regurgitated what every other NHL reporter or Devils fan has said on the situation. I'm going to stick away from it until more news comes out on this because everybody's talking about it. Like, come on, it's Quinn Hughes. But that's all I have there. Let's go to break here on Locked On Devils. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. The app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. Not a hockey plug, but I'll say it anyway because I'm ultimately going to get my tickets for this event off of Game Time. I am currently, as I've tipped off numerous times, I'm at my dad's in Palm Beach Gardens in Florida. And I drove down here. And on my way back to New Jersey, I am driving through Atlanta on the first weekend of December. And if you know anything about me, you know that my blood courses with college football, specifically in the SEC. I also may or may not run a very significant SEC-related account by the name of Barstool SEC. Follow me on Twitter if you dare. But yes, that is me. The guy that runs Locked On New Jersey Devils also runs Barstool SEC. So holla, but I am planning on attending the SEC championship game. And tickets for that game are expensive. So I'm going to use Game Time to get my tickets. I love that what I see is what I pay. No hidden fees at checkout. Plus, I could see exactly what my view in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is going to look like before I buy the tickets with their in-seat app view feature. And you know what's going to really come in handy? That $20 off my first purchase that I'm going to use by taking advantage of code LOCKEDONNHL. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets or whatever tickets you may desire with Game Time. That's code LOCKEDO on NHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. We are back. This is Locked On Devils. It is almost 9:45 at night here. I'm going to wrap up. We have a good show tomorrow. Close buddy of mine, Mr. Rob DeLuca of Pucks and Pitchforks, is going to be joining me to preview Devils and Blues. So we will get to that in the morning. But yeah, Devils win. It was chippy. They need to play better in the third. And Jacob Markstrom stood out his head. I don't think I'm missing anything. Y'all have a good night.